ask you about the title for the exhibition, Machines for the Spirit. So how would you say that your paintings, for instance, act as machines?
Well, they're made out of parts, that's number one, and a machine is something that does something. We tend to think of it as, moving machines, but anything that accommodates an effect that you want and has to be made in a composite way to do that work is a machine. The reason that I like the term is it's not arty. It gets to exactly how you make something out of parts to make a one that functions. When you say spiritual, you're not talking about religion or ghostly stuff. You're really talking about the interior resonation that all effects have upon human beings, regardless of whether it's a sunset. It resonates. You see it, but it has an internal effect. It can make you happy or sad. That's mysterious of how it does that. And in that sense, it's spiritual as opposed to what we think of as physical. Even though all the spirituality generally that we deal with comes through the physical. It uses the physical senses to apprehend what's out there that can resonate. Again, back to the machine business, is I make machines. They affect you and they're put together.
That was great. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And how do you hope that it acts upon the viewer? So if someone is taking in the machine.
Well, it's all resonation is intimate. That's what you hope for. That's their experience. If they are moved by it, it is not the painting. What they have received is a personal experience because they've engaged with the machine. What is mysterious is how it does it. That's been the great mystery all the time, is that things resonate us, and they resonate us in different degrees of intensity. The so-called arts, music, poetry, literature, painting, uses different means to resonate us. Sound, visual effects. They cause us to experience. The experience is not the painting, it's the experience, but you need the painting to have the experience. The experience belongs to you, but you could not have had it unless you engaged intimately in some way with what we call an object, a tree, another human being. It's all the same in terms of being resonated. The intensity is what's important to the experience, because we have so many experiences, but they can be so low level that you don't remember the high intensity experiences you may carry out in your life and deal with. Hope that cleared that up.
It did. Okay, so then moving into your painting process, could you talk a bit about it? For instance, we understand that when you paint, the canvas is flat on the floor. What are other circumstances that you put in place when you're painting?
Well, the reason it's flat on the floor, I don't like paint to run. And if you have paint that's fluid and you hold it up and you paint, then it drips. I don't like that. I don't like it. So what I understood, the way I wanted to work, and laying it down, I wouldn't have that effect, the gravity effect. And also, it was a way of seeing that allowed me to address the scale, the size, from every direction rather than from the center. So if I can give an example, the way the paint is applied down, I can approach, when it's flat, I can approach it, the painting this way. But if I'm sitting upright, I can generally work only that way. And I would tend to neglect if I had to bend down those areas. If I'm working down, I can work all around it and address the canvas fully from any direction. It's a way of dealing with the field. The whole harmony is just a field. Within the field are forms. We go back to the machine. These parts make up the machine. When I say that this is placed here in relation to this relationship has to do something right in between here, and all these very complex set of relationships going on. It has to make one harmony. That's the painting, and the field is the effect of the total thing, regardless of the imagery within it. And so it's applied in different ways. You can see that the paint has been put on with different tools to give different physical effects for the viewer, just different physical dynamics, so that it's a constant experience of change just in life. You walk into the garden, there's spiky plants, there are plants that are leafy, there are plants that are fat. So when you move through a canvas like this, hopefully the experience is shifting all the time on the interior. Physically, it's got not mental. Just the response. Human beings are terrific at responding physically. Too much conception about it, too much interpretation. So that the full resonance of the physical response is crucial to an emotional intimacy. All the lovers should know that. Guys don't know what lovers are, but I still know that. I can't help it. It's a joke. Okay.
In addition to the more abstract forms in your work, there are also some figurative forms, which we understand are recurrent by and large throughout your work. Could you talk a bit about the history of some of these forms? For instance, there is a saxophone player that you use. There's the sleeping
There's no saxophone player in there. There's an image. Stop anthropomorphizing. No, I'm serious. It stops. Just, I think I got your question, but it's crucial that I don't. I'm not mimicking nature. I'm using the references from the orders, giving a lot of hints. In that sense, I'm taking from the world, context I live in, that moves me, my experiences of the world. I like figurative images. They're sensual, I've always liked them. That's the clue to me being able to develop a world. It took me a while to understand that. That's my attraction. So, the use of imagery, what people call abstraction, there are images throughout, but they're hinting. They're just images. That word is a very powerful word. Imagination, image. So what is an image? Well, an image tends to be anything that can impress you, that can make you have conception. That's strong enough. So there are many kinds of effects from different kinds of images. So here you can see this kind of image, for instance. To me, it's a female quality to it. But it's butted up against this corner of this painting. It should have a gestural quality that makes the viewer feel this something. The recognition is easy. This area right here, just these lovely forms, if you look at them for a while, they should, hopefully, be very baby-like. You have to get used to the way I'm giving the information. There's If you look through here, you can see that the marking sets up this amazing density, this maddening kind of density. And then these figurative images have been given as clear as I could in opposing, two forms opposing, and the gesture, and just a gesture of aggressiveness. Just as aggressive as I could get it. It's all there, that's really ours. Hopefully, it's more, reflects you more than the recognition of the images. In other words, if you stay in front of it, something else is going on besides the recognition of the images. Do you understand what I mean? The recognizing of the images doesn't give meaning. Hopefully it has significance. It just means that a world is a kind of ambiance. The earth is a world. And then there are worlds within worlds. Where I was born in St. Louis, that's a world. In the house I lived in, that's a world. Do you understand that? Every context that you are in becomes a world. That is, it has an ambiance, it has a dynamic. We're in this room, and all of us are in this room. And it has a different dynamic if there are only two people. Everybody recognizes it. When you go to an exhibition that's crowded, you can't see the moment there are fewer people, you can feel the possibility of experiencing differently than there are a room full of people. Everything's changed. Do you understand? Place always changes. So, every one of the paintings I want to be unique in how we experience that world. I'm not interested in repetition. One work making me feel like another. To me, it's okay. Other people do that. It's not how I want this world. If you engage in my experience to give you something that work cannot give. They are similar in technique because the same hand does them, but the feeling should be absolutely unique in each work. Each work. You in it. So that's the point. And also the way that, since I use figures to develop this work, the feeling a feeling is not an image. A feeling is just amorphous, but it's strong. It's not emotion. For me, emotion arises from feeling and displayed according to your personality. Some people display, I always use grief, differently than other people, arising from the feeling of grief. And the emotional communication is different. In this case, the physicality and the use of the paint is dictated by this feeling of this world that I'm sensing. That I have to find it. It dictates every mark in it. You understand? Well, it's like a feeling map. It's not images. But if this relationship like this and this, it's a relationship. If it doesn't work, I look at it, that's not satisfying the feeling. I have to make a change. So it gets very intense. You understand? It's the building of the machine. So the blueprint is the feeling. I have to find the images that suit it, right?